All right, good morning, everyone, and good morning to folks who are here in the room and to people out in the hallway who may or may not be able to hear me. That's fine. I want to say, first of all, good morning and welcome everyone to DjangoCon US 2025. Give a round of applause for yourselves, please. We're very excited to have you here, and we are very excited to not only to have you here and to be able to interact with you, but also to share with you the program that our team has put together and the insights from our various speakers and all the other good things that come with the DjangoCon US. So, without any further ado, we'll get into that. Who am I? This is not so important. I'm Kojo. I'm large. You'll see me around. I do the things with the computers, and I talk to the people, and I used to do other things, and now I do this thing. If you have questions, I'm around. Please feel free to ask me. What I do here specifically at DjangoCon US, I'm the orientation chair. That's why I'm here now. I used to do a couple of other things as well, and I will talk about some of those things later because you might want to participate in them. I work for a company called RevSys. So why am I talking about my company here now? Largely because, let's see, I am not here on stage because I work for RevSys. I work for RevSys because I'm here on this stage and because they're here. So we're a small company. We mostly build stuff in Django. I know you. We're a small company. We build things in Django. There are 9 of us. Of the 9 of us, 8 of us are here. Well, 7 of us are here in person. 1 is here online. Hey, Lacey. 1 of us is here online, but we've always been heavily involved in the Django community. The company was founded by 2 of the earliest users of Django in the place where Django was created. Again, of that 9 of us, 5 of us are organizers. We've got 2 former presidents of the DSF, the Django Software Foundation. One of our employees, Catherine, is, you've probably seen her moving around, but she's a big part of the magic in the background that makes things happen for DjangoCon US. There's also a panel called Two Decades of Django that's on the schedule for Wednesday. You'll see some of our members there. Just a sort of a quick run through, the DSF founder and the person who helped make Django Floss is part of our team. 2 former DSF presidents, a former PSF or Python Software Foundation director. I'm sorry, I'm using the acronyms. Django Software Foundation and Python Software Foundation director. A current Django Steering Council member, 2 former DjangoCon US chairs, the founder of DEFNA, Django Events Foundation North America. That's the nonprofit that puts on DjangoCon and has put it on since 2014, and their former president. And so I mentioned my company and all those folks that work with me because, again, we've been involved and active in the Django community for a long time because we care about it, because a lot of our business is built on it. And that's why there's so many of us who are involved in organizing DjangoCon US, and that's why so many of us are here, because we care about the Django community and you all, and we're a part of it, and so we want it to thrive and flourish along with you all. And so you'll see us around, and that is why we're here. Let me also say hello to our online friends. This year we have an online component to the conference as well. So when I get to the part where I'm discussing some of the logistics, some of that won't apply to you all. But we are excited that you all have chosen to join us virtually. Everyone can't come physically. We're still improving how we run a hybrid event. I see John is leaving. That's okay. He'll be back. We're still working on how we run a hybrid event, and so we're smoothing that process up. So please give us some grace as we go through that learning curve. But again, we are very excited. We're excited to see our online attendees, and we'll see you all in Slack and things of that nature. So, by show of hands, who is here at their first DjangoCon US ever? Okay. There's some people who are sort of shy about this. Some people are like, oh, it's okay. But a majority of the folks here, which is good because that's what you are who the orientation is for. Now, how many people are at maybe their first tech conference ever? Okay, there we go. So people are excited. So. All right, so good to see. I'm going to add a 1 and a 0 because I know one person just walked out. It's the first DjangoCon US, but not the first tech conference. So what are we trying to do here with the orientation? We started it in 2016 to help people who might be a little more introverted It functions like this because, and let's be honest, a lot of software developers, if you know other software developers, they tend to be a little more on the social anxiety, not around the people side. And what we've done is we put you all in a room together with people that you mostly don't know. And so that can be a little anxiety creating. And so we wanted to help folks become comfortable in strange spaces surrounded by strangers. We can't eliminate all of the anxiety, but we can help try to smooth out some of the more anxiety-making bits. And so how do we do that? The first thing we do is, again, we want to emphatically welcome you to DjangoCon US. We don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm just kind of here and nobody cares. No. We're like really, really excited that you're here. It doesn't make sense to have everybody be all weird and excited like I am, and so I'm the big loud one who will say it in front of you all, but yes, we're super excited to hear. But we also want to acknowledge that being surrounded by strangers can be weird and make you uncomfortable. And if you feel kind of weird and uncomfortable surrounded by a bunch of strangers, that's okay. It is basically sort of a normal human response. That's fine. The good news is, after a little while, there won't be strangers, they'll be your new friends. And then boom, the DjangoCon takes off. Because like, oh, me and my friends, we're all just gonna do this stuff. But that response is a natural feeling. But now let's add on to this. Imagine that you're not part of the dominant demographic. And you sort of look around and you're like, oh, I don't see the people who look like me. So not only am I surrounded by strangers, but I sort of feel even more left out. There can be even more anxiety making. And so if you feel like, oh, maybe I don't belong here, surprise, you're wrong. You also belong here. And we are also excited that you are here as well. So again, I can't say enough. I'm gonna stop, but realistically, practically, can't say enough how excited we are that you all are here. So we're gonna step through a couple of quick stories about feeling weird and out of place. I was talking to a friend a couple of years ago after their first trip to DEF CON, which, if you are familiar, is a security-focused conference. And he's also not really excited about being surrounded by strangers. But one thing he noticed, the insight he took from it was like, yeah, I'm at this thing with a bunch of strangers, but everybody here is here for the same reason I'm here. We've all got the same interests, the same topics, the same things we want to talk about. And so it's like, okay, like you're kind of at a place with your friends. And if you work with Django, or if you work even, say, specifically with Python or something like that, there's a decent chance that you might be the only person in your place of work who has this area of focus. So now here at DjangoCon US, you're surrounded by a bunch of people who have that area of focus. And so we've got a lot of friends who are here. I would also say to our experienced attendees, I know some of whom are here in the room, let's try to be a little more enthusiastically welcoming to our new attendees to help folks feel comfortable and in place. The second story is about me and my shoulder. So unfortunately, I recently had some shoulder surgery, and that's a thing, recovering from that. But one insight I took from that was, you have surgery, you wake up, and people are like, oh, okay, you're fine, time to go home. And I'm like, who, what is happening? Why is my voice different? What is going on? And it reminded me that for the people in the hospital, the nurses and the doctors and all that, this was a routine thing that they did not only every day, but multiple times a day. But for me, going through the surgery for the first time, it was this unique experience and I didn't really know what to expect. And as a first-time attendee to both the tech conference and at DjangoCon US, that's a situation that you all are in. This is the first time you all have done this myself. We've got some of the organizers who are here, other people who have been organizing the conference or have attended for multiple times. It's fairly common and commonplace and normal for us. But if you're here as a first-time attendee, this is just an entirely unique experience that's kind of happening at you. And so, again, we wanted to acknowledge that and remind you that we're excited that you're here and we welcome you enthusiastically. Let me make some more explicit welcomes to certain members of our community. So I'm going to explicitly welcome our LGBTQ members. And so there's a difference between just like, oh, well, we don't discriminate against people, as opposed to, no, we actually actively welcome people. Because this is DjangoCon US, is what we do here. So I want to explicitly welcome our LGBTQ members. I also want to welcome folks from outside of the US, because you come to the US and it's a different country. If this is not the country you're from, it is a different country than the one you came from. Some of the customs are going to be different. Some of, just a lot of the sort of the social norms, the language can be different. So I wanted to, again, explicitly welcome our folks from outside of the US. It is called DjangoCon US, That's because it's in the US. It's not just for people from the US. I also wanted to this year explicitly welcome people who are worried about what the US federal government might do next. I live in Houston, Texas, but I'm a native of Washington, D.C., and so weird things are happening in my hometown around my cousins and my aunts and uncles. I'm not super excited about that, but if you're worried about that, you are welcome here as well. I will point out that a side effect of American culture is we tend to be sort of self-focused. So if you're from outside the US, please try to excuse us that. It's a thing a lot of us are working on, but we're still really excited that you are here. I'd also like to give an explicit welcome to people who have mobility issues. So when you're here at an event like this, there's often a lot of social gathering and people just kind of walking around, oh, hey, let's go to this place. It's only a 5-minute walk away, or a 10-minute walk away. If you've got mobility issues, that might be more of a challenge for you. Don't worry about that. And if you need to take your car separately and meet folks when you get there or be there a little early, that's okay. But again, we are thrilled that you are here. So this phrase is a phrase that I say a lot and you will probably hear a lot. You'll hear at least a couple more times throughout this orientation. But it's important to point out, if you get to a point where, again, we've talked about you're surrounded by strangers, you might be a little weirded out, it might be a little overwhelming, it might be taking a little more brain energy than you need. If you feel you need to take some time away from the activities to give yourself a mental break, that's okay. And it might sound a bit sort of new agey woo-woo. I point it out because it's actually important in getting the most out of DjangoCon US, either in person or online. You can't get the most from the conference if you're struggling against being overwhelmed, if you feel like you're freaking out, so just take a moment to breathe, and just those little pauses can give you the extra mental space you need to help yourself get more from the conference and become a better software engineer or a better user of Django. That's important. So this ends the feelings portion of the talk. So let's move on into sort of why you're here. Let's take a look at that. The next thing you need to do is you want to give some thought to what are your priorities. What made you decide to come to DjangoCon US? Your time the time here and the energy that you have are both limited, and so you want to make sure you direct those in the best possible ways for you. So we're now in the homework portion. You didn't expect that. So you have to think to yourself, okay, why did I decide to come to DjangoCon US? And this also applies for our virtual attendees. I'm going to look in the camera for our virtual attendees. What made you decide to come to DjangoCon US? As you try to decide how to get the most out of the conference, that's where you have to start. Why did you decide to come? Did you mostly want to focus on hearing talks about new features in Django or new libraries? Are you looking to hire people or to get hired? Did you want to get more actively involved in the Django and Python communities? Did you want to learn how to enhance your own local Django or Python community at home? There are a number of different reasons you might have come. And so as you think about how and where to direct your energy over the course of the conference, that's, I think, the best place to start. Why am I here? What was I hoping to get out of it? And then you can direct your energy accordingly. It's also important to realize that less is often more. There is a temptation to want to attend every talk and go to all the things and be involved in all the activities, but realistically, you can't. It's a two-track conference, and I'll talk about the logistics of that in a minute, but it's a two-track conference, so there will be some talks that are happening at the same time, so you can't attend everything, but also it might not be the best idea for you to attend everything, again, depending on how you're feeling, how many spoons you have, where your mental capacity is, that sort of thing. And so focus on the things that best support your reason for attending. That's why thinking about why you're here is so important. Sometimes taking a break to let your mind absorb this new information is the best way to learn. This is true if you're in person or attending online. It's true for all learning, and it's a great way to become a better software engineer, to give yourself some breaks. It's also easier to focus more deeply on a smaller number of things than trying to just absorb all the things that are coming at you. So that is something to keep in mind. If you're not familiar with this term, the hallway track, you'll see that the schedule shows 2 tracks of talks on Monday and Tuesday. So 2 sets of talks happening in different rooms. This is one of them. But the hallway track is what is going on outside of the talks. And so the hallway track at almost any conference is very important. It's the opportunity that you have to meet folks in the hallways, chat with them, have conversations. It's often one of the best parts of the conference. And those talks can't be replaced and they're not being recorded. The actual official talks that are in the main talking rooms, those are being recorded. You can watch those again later, but the people that you sort of meet in the hallways or at lunch, those can't be recorded and those can't be replicated. As I sort of look around the room and I see faces of people I know, they are mostly people that I either met at lunch or in a hallway track. And so, those interactions weren't recorded. Those are things that were live. And so don't overlook the benefit and the value of the hallway track. And for virtual attendees, the hallway track will happen in Slack. All right, so the next step here is logistics. So, where do you find things that you need to better enjoy the conference? How's that gonna work out? So this is what I alluded to earlier. We've got 2 tracks of talks, and they're in 2 rooms, the Sauganash Ballroom and the Wolf Point Ballroom. So we are currently in Sauganash, and fortunately you have found it, you made your way here. And so we're in the Sauganash Ballroom here on the 14th floor. The Wolf Point Ballroom is on the 15th floor, 1 floor up. And so just outside of this room are the elevators, which you know where they are because that's how you got here. So to get to the Wolf Point Ballroom, you'll take the elevators up to 15. You're gonna turn left. You're gonna turn left again. Well, don't immediately turn left, walk a little bit because there are elevators here. Turn left again, and then walk towards the window. And when you do that, when you get to the window, on your right will be the Wolf Point Ballroom. Some of you might have seen that. I don't know exactly how many people are staying here in the hotel, but in the big open space on 15, that's also where some of our meals will be, but that's where the Wolf Point Ballroom is. So we got 2 tracks, 2 different floors. I will also point out that just outside of this room and just behind registration, there's a stairwell that goes between the 14th and the 15th floors. Logistically, you might want to think, okay, it will be easier to go to a talk in the Wolf Point Ballroom and go to my next talk in the Sauganash Ballroom because I can just walk down the stairs. You might not want to walk up the stairs. I'm not here to judge your cardio or what that is. I am both old and fat, and so me walking upstairs, maybe not as simple as for the young and the slim, but you do you. So 2 tracks, 2 floors. Each room is going to have a masks only section. We've got some signs here. Those mask only sections would be up front and center, and so if you want to sit in a section where people are only wearing masks, those are going to be available in both of the rooms. Now, we also have some other rooms. I told you the self-care sprint thing was going to come up again. We've got some rooms that are going to be a little more self-care focused. So meals, and again, eating, part of self-care. You have to eat, that's a thing. You are all still the people. Until the robots come and take over, you're all still the people, and so you need to eat the food. And even when the robots take over, they have like batteries and stuff, so that'll still be a thing. So this room, the Sauganash Ballroom and the Wolf Point Ballroom, is also where our meals will be. And it will be very similar to what we've seen here for breakfast. So I see people who have food, and so clearly you all have sorted some of that out, so that's good news. But our meals, breakfast and lunch will be in these ballrooms. There's also a quiet room. Again, I've talked about sort of if you start to be freaked out, we have a quiet room that is available. It is the Shakespeare House room. So if you go out of the Sauganash Ballroom, go to your right, there's a hallway, go down that hallway. At the end of that hallway, in the corner, there's a Shakespeare room labeled Shakespeare House. If you feel like, okay, I need to kind of get away from this, I need some quiet, there's a quiet room that's available for everyone. Again, please be quiet in the quiet room. The quiet room is not for you to talk quietly on your phone, it is for you to just literally be quiet. There's the speaker's green room for folks who are our speakers here in the audience. That's the American House room that is right next to the Shakespeare House room. So the speaker's green room is next to the quiet room. There's also a wellness room that is the Lake House room. And so it's sort of on the opposite corner. So if you go out of this room and to the left, in that back corner is the wellness room. We're asking that folks, if you're using the wellness room, focus on only having one person there at a time. Also, before I get to the secret room, don't tell people. Just behind registration, there are 2 hallways on either side of registration. That's where the restrooms are. Very important, an important part of a conference because people have needs they need to deal with. Now, okay, so this is a secret just for the people in orientation. Don't tell the other people. If you go out of this room, behind registration, there is an open space with some additional seating there. Again, if you feel like, okay, there are a lot of people, it's sort of, there's a lot going on, you need to get away a little bit, but you don't want to go too far. There's these sitting areas that are just behind registration, and that's also a good place to sort of to go and get away from folks. Again, the restrooms further back from there. The men's restrooms are on the left side, my left, your right. The women's restrooms are on my right, your left. If you are staying here in the hotel, on the 16th floor, there is a gym that has a sauna, and there's also a pool. So again, if you feel like you need to get some exercise or get in a sauna, get away, and that is on the 16th floor. It's basically above the Wolf Point Ballroom, so that same general set of directions will take you there. Also, if you just feel like you need some fresh air, some sunshine, or to see the river walk or go to a beach, those are all here in Chicago. I did not know that there were actually like beaches on Lake Michigan, but one of our organizers, Tim Schilling, assures me that the beach is lovely and wonderful and you should go in to swim and enjoy. So all those things are available, but the river walks are literally just right outside. Go outside the hotel, turn right, and boom, there's lovely seating to view the river and see the boats going by. So that is also a thing. I've also been told, and this is not like paid or sponsored, but I've been told by another one of our attendees that there's a Blue Bottle coffee that's like right across the street and is apparently very, very lovely and highly recommended. So that is the thing. I know people love their coffee. So lightning talks. Lightning talks coming up. If you want to take a picture of this next slide, I'm gonna put that up, so feel free to get your cameras out while I talk. So this is where you will register for lightning talks. If you're not familiar with lightning talks, they are short talks with a 5-minute maximum. Unfortunately, this year our virtual attendees aren't going to be able to be lightning talk speakers or to give lightning talks remotely. But if you wanted to sign up for lightning talks, this is the short URL that you can use to go to the registration form. Again, there are talks with a 5-minute maximum, and they are an excellent way for people who have never given a talk to give their first talk. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to do that. I'm going to move away from this slide now. People are still taking pictures. Don't see any cameras. Okay. Again, the feelings are back. You thought the feelings were gone. The feelings are always there. That's their secret. Just like the Hulk, you're always feeling. So this is a little bit different, it's a little more scientific. I'm going to say this again because it bears repeating. The self-care sprint, and if you're a software developer, you're familiar with development sprints, but the self-care sprint is so important because it is the only sprint that makes every other sprint sustainable. As such, it needs to be factored into your time and your energy budget. So it is very important that you take care of yourself. And I know you're thinking, well, Kojo, we're all adults. We're all grown-up people. We drove here in cars and stuff. And took a plane and whatever. But it bears repeating, and we put on DjangoCon US because we want you all to have the best experience possible. And so, maybe it's a little pedantic, but we care, so that's how that goes. Contribution sprints are going to be happening on Thursday and Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday we have talks. Thursday and Friday are the contribution sprints. These are an opportunity to contribute to open source projects, usually in person. The contributions can take a number of different forms. Traditionally, people think about code and documentation, but there are also many non-code contributions that are needed, such as helping with planning or ideation for the project's design or project governance. Our virtual attendees can also use the Sprint's Slack channel for general collaboration and to find the methods that each Sprint project uses when they're not all in person together. So the contribution sprints are going to be happening in the LaSalle Ballroom, and this is the room they will only be in Thursday and Friday. That's in a slightly different location. For the LaSalle Ballroom, take these elevators up to 15, turn left, and then just walk all the way down the hall until you can't go any further, and you will go into the LaSalle Ballroom. But we'll only be there Thursday and Friday. If you're working on sprints, you can use the Slack channels to organize those things. And again, a self-care sprint is a valid sprint. It's the only sprint that makes the other sprint sustainable, so please take care of yourselves. Here we have a link to our code of conduct. We are hoping that you've taken a look at it before. Some people view a code of conduct as restrictive, but in reality, the code of conduct is here to help each of us focus more on what we actually came to DjangoCon US to do. That way you don't have to sort of worry so much about your interactions with others. It gives you some guidance on that, and so we can all focus on what the actual task at hand is. And with that, I am done. We've got a couple minutes if anyone has any questions or concerns. Again, if you have questions for me specifically, I'm wandering around. You will see me and just feel free to ask me questions. I'm in Slack or I'm on Blue Sky or on Mastodon. So I'm going to open it up for questions and see if anybody has any questions, concerns. Yes. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm going to see if anybody has any questions or concerns that they're willing to raise in front of a group of strangers. Because I know you have questions or concerns. I'm very old. I've known many people over many years. And so I know that there are questions and concerns that are inside your minds, but maybe you don't want to bring them up in front of a group of strangers. That's also okay. But if you have any of those, yes, no? All right, well, with that being the case, I'm going to step down and let our conference chair come and give you an official welcome. Once again, thank you very much for attending, and I am thrilled you are here at DjangoCon US with us. I look forward to seeing you all.